So tell me why you don't care about iMessage or.
Are you freaking hearing this shit? Let's talk about iMessage. I get a lot of crap about being an Apple fanboy, which I really don't think I am. My main computer that I do all of my work on is a Windows-based PC. There's a sim rig back there with another Windows PC on there. I work for a company called Android Authority, and I've been known to cover a lot, majority Android phones actually, on this channel. But you know, I appreciate Apple stuff, so I'm rocking an iPhone as my daily phone, mostly because as working from Android Authority, I am very much inundated with Android stuff, and it's just nice to have a change. And I think a lot of people would get that if they understood that a little bit more. I think they would agree with me on that. But I'm by no means locked into the Apple ecosystem. I don't use iMessage, I don't use AirDrop. Well, obviously I don't have a Mac. I don't have iTunes or Apple Music or the cloud iCloud services. But there are quite a few Apple fanboys on YouTube. I would definitely say that Jonathan Morrison is one of those. Marques Brownlee could maybe be one of those, although he does do a lot of Android stuff. Jonathan Morrison used to do a lot of Android stuff, but not much these days. And of course, your boy Noah Herman, definitely an Apple fanboy, or at least a big Apple fan. He does a lot of Apple stuff. And the main argument that you would get from an Apple fanboy or an Apple fan in general, saying why would you use an iPhone over an equivalent Android phone or a cheaper Android phone or whatever it is, and the same goes for Windows and a Mac OS and iPads and Android tablets, although that a little bit less so because most Android tablets are just not very good. You would often get the ecosystem or iMessage argument. And that is kind of ridiculous, but we'll start off with the ecosystem. The ecosystem starts to make a little bit more sense when you factor in the Apple paid services like iCloud, iTunes, because you can sink a few £1,000s or a few $1,000s into those services, and switching over, it's kind of like, oh, that was just a complete waste of money. So I can kind of get that a little bit more. I don't really get the whole like, oh yeah, I use AirDrop all the time, because like, I never did when I had my Mac and my iPhone, and a lot of people that I know, a lot of my friend group, and I get it's a very small sample size, but they also don't really use AirDrop and stuff like that. So, and obviously the other argument, and the reason I'm making this video, is iMessage. Now iMessage is, let's define it, it's a web-based text messaging service. So you can send messages, you can send videos, photos, little emoji things all over the web. So it's relying on your cellular connection, so 4G, 5G, whatever, and it's relying on Wi-Fi and stuff like that. So it's in that vein very similar to WhatsApp and to WeChat and to Telegram and to Facebook Messenger is probably one of the biggest ones. And there's that clip at the beginning that I showed you, and I was really taken aback by this because I was really surprised at how Sarah Dietschy just didn't really, or played up to the camera maybe, that she didn't really know much about the fact that you could just use WhatsApp or you could just use Telegram. Like, it's crazy that she was kind of locked into that iMessage thing, and I think this is something that's very much a US thing.
It's just a notification. You just type a thing
So
in the
when
doodad.
you're around with your family and take pictures of your beautiful kids and people want the media, you can share that easily?
What? I've been making fun of some people on Twitter about this, and I've definitely teased a few people, but it's very much about kind of the green bubble and the blue bubble thing. If you send a text message to someone with an iPhone and you're not using an iPhone, you send a green bubble because it's an SMS. It's a typical SMS that we've had for decades now. But if you send an iMessage, it comes up in a blue bubble, and those benefits include, like what we talked about before, it's relying on the web, so you can send videos, photos for no extra cost other than your data plan, whether you have it on Wi-Fi or cellular. Whereas when you send the green message, sending photos and videos becomes naturally harder because you're using those old services which typically cost more money, so it's like it's inconvenient. But the thing is with iMessage, it seems like people who use iMessage exclusively use iMessage, so they're locked into that system. If you ask someone who predominantly uses iMessage if they've got a Telegram or a WhatsApp, typically it's a no. Maybe they'll have a Facebook account, but that's not really what they use for messaging. As I may have alluded to before, this is a US-based thing. Over here in Europe, we use WhatsApp is massive, way bigger than iMessage is in America. WhatsApp is like the big thing here in Europe. We also have Facebook Messenger. A lot of my family, a lot of my friends, most people I talk to, who I went to school with, and all of my family, they all use Facebook Messenger. That is like the thing. And I get that it's a little bit on the older side now, and it's a little bit more kind of, it's out of fashion, but that's kind of what we use. Otherwise, it's WhatsApp. Telegram has started to become quite big. If I recall correctly, it's bigger, kind of more in the East, but we're starting to get it more in the West as well. And of course, in China, they use WeChat, so that's just a completely different service. But getting back to iMessage, there have been reports, there have been cases about bullying in US schools about the whole green bubble versus blue bubble thing. If you're sending someone a green bubble, then you're kind of an outcast and you get bullied at school. And that sounds utterly ridiculous, just me saying that, it just sounds ridiculous. But this is something that has happened in the US, and it's something that will probably continue to go on because it's kind of like a status thing. It's kind of like the kid coming to school with like tatty old shoes instead of like the newest shoes that sorry, I just knocked the microphones down there. It's like the kid coming to school with like the tatty old shoes versus the newer shoes that the more popular kids have. It's kind of ridiculous. But what makes it even more ridiculous is that the iPhone, I would say, is not the most premium device on the market at the moment. If you own an iPhone, good for you, but you know, you're not like the king of the hill. I feel like someone with a Galaxy Z Flip or a Galaxy S20 Ultra, or, and this is less so in the United States, a P40 Pro or something like that. You're going to be seen as more of a, I guess, a more premium person in a way. Anyway, I digress a little bit there. So I don't feel that it's really necessary for people to kind of bully people for not having an iPhone, because an iPhone is one of the expensive phones, but it's definitely not the most premium. And I think it kind of circles back to why Apple people, or why people who use Apple products get kind of crap online for being Apple fanboys, because the image that an Apple user has or sets is like oftentimes quite vulgar. And you see this all the time with people who say, oh yeah, well, I won't move from Apple because of iMessage and because of the ecosystem, when there are plenty good versions of those. And it's not like you have to make crazy workarounds like installing extra APKs or kind of, you know, there are a lot of good services out there. For instance, WhatsApp and Telegram for the iMessage. And then for the other services, you've got Google services, Microsoft services, like Dropbox has their own little cloud service. I say little cloud service, they are pretty massive. And the message I'm trying to deliver in this video is maybe look at who you are as an individual and maybe be a little bit kinder about technology, because at the end of the day, it is just technology. It doesn't matter what you use. You know, if you're one of those people out there who prefers BlackBerry phones or prefers HTC phones to anything that is made today, good. Like, you know, don't feel like an outcast because of that. You know, it's just technology at the end of the day. Why should we kind of hate on someone else for having different preferences in technology? Like, all it is at the end of the day is a tool. And similarly, those out there who are locked into an ecosystem, who are dedicated to a certain brand, who are just, you know, everything that comes out from that brand, they are so loyal and they will buy it and they will, you know, praise the company. You got to look at it like this. They are a company. They're out there to make money. They're not out there to be your best friend, and they're not your best friend. They've got millions, if not maybe a billion or so users in the context of Facebook and WhatsApp. And they are not picking you out individually and going, you know what, you're great, you're a brilliant customer. They're not. They're all they see you as is a number in their database. You know, so just think about that for a second before you go in and praise and defend a company, even if it does something that really isn't that great. And to Sarah Dici, humble yourself. Anyway, that concludes today's video. I really wanted to make this video for maybe the past couple of months, but I've just about got my notes down now, so I thought I'd make the video now when I've got some spare time. Don't worry, there's going to be a lot more phone-based content coming. I have got the Nexus 6P here, which I believe you may have already seen a video on. Google Pixel stuff is upcoming, and then hopefully we'll dive into the HTC and leave the iPhone stuff towards the end, because quite frankly, I've done a bit too much Apple stuff recently and I want to go back to my roots. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I've been Ryan Thomas. Please do like, dislike, comment and subscribe if you're new around here to never miss a video like this one. And also check out all my social medias. All the links will be in the video description as always. I want to give a massive shout out to my patrons for being awesome. So thank you for continually supporting me. It really does go a long way. And yeah, I'll see you later. Peace.
Yes.
So tell me why you don't care about iMessage or AirDrop. What was the original thing? I forgot what we were talking about, but I'm interested of why.
Because why would I? I use WhatsApp, WeChat, SMS,
that's it,
Hangouts.
yeah.
I use all kinds of things. Who
Right.
cares? It's just a
So-
notification. You just type a thing
So
in the
when
doodad.
you're around with your family and you take pictures of your beautiful kids and people want the media, you can share that easily.